G'day Bomber fans. Now I was going to release my trade update video today, but there is something going on that I want to touch on first, so I'll release my Essendon trade update video tomorrow, and today I'm going to talk about the contract situation that we have going on at the club right now. It's a bit of a change of guard, it seems. The list management strategy moving in a different direction, which certain members of the club are not happy with, certain players, and this goes to the top. Our captain is involved in this. This is a potentially pretty significant story, not being dramatic or anything, but I think it shows a significant change in the way we're going to be acting behind the scenes at the club. So let's get into it, and remember, trade update out tomorrow, so stay tuned to that. There is a lot to talk about, lots going on right now. Alright, before I get into it, I just want to say that none of this should be taken as gospel, none of it's fact. This is news broken by Sam McClure, or mostly news broken by Sam McClure with others kind of backing him up, so don't take this all as fact. I'm just telling it how others are telling it though. So Essendon are currently in the process of negotiating contracts and managing the list. We've already let go some players, informed them that they wouldn't be earning new deals. We've signed up others. Matt Guelphy just signed on a 2-year deal, but there are a couple of guys on the list that are not having much success with their deals. Jake Stringer is out of contract. He wants to stay at the club. He actually has met a games played clause in his current contract, meaning he can be on our books next year, no problems. But Stringer wants security. He wants to sign an extra deal, a 2-year deal that sees him secure for an extra season, full well knowing that this is probably his last chance ever to get a 2-year deal. Stringer's a veteran now, 31 next year, but he thinks he's done enough to warrant a multi-year deal. You could argue he has a point. 42 goals in a season is the exact amount Stringer kicked in his premiership season at the Dogs, and he's never played this many games before in a home and away season. He will think that he is safe at the club based off that form. And Laverty, he's the other one. He will be in a similar boat. He's played just 22 matches. He's never had his spot questioned. He's out of contract next year, but he wants to add an additional year on top of that existing deal to play with more security next season. Both players have been trying to negotiate these extra deals on their contracts. They're both under the same player manager, but the club is not letting them. They've shut down requests, and it's gotten to a stage where, according to Sam McClure, both players actually met with Brad Scott and Matt Rosa and Craig Votso in person in an attempt to negotiate the deal themselves. Usually it's done behind the scenes with player managers, but it's gotten to the stage where the guys themselves were talking to Rosa, and the club stood firm, leaving them disappointed. Now, I don't know how much we can really trust Sam McClure himself with these reports. He hasn't got the greatest track record, but I've actually seen some others talk about unrest recently as well in regards to our contract negotiations, so it does check out with other reports, other views on the matter, and maybe soon we'll see news of a Jake Stringer 2-year deal with the club budging. But right now there is a huge opportunity for the club to make a statement, a shape up or get out statement, because McClure said the club went as far as to tell Stringer and Laverty that they can explore other options if they wanted to, which means trades, and that also checks out with recent reports from John Ralph suggesting that teams are now suddenly keeping an eye on Jaden Laverty's situation. That actually broke before this Sam McClure story, so that checks out. It seems like the club is really firm on not allowing unwarranted job security, something that in the past has been a bit of an issue for us. But Rosa could be making his intentions pretty clear already, not allowing ways to continue and rewarding players who deserve to be rewarded. It could be a real shift in leadership. Now, where does merit fit into all this? If you aren't aware, there is a tight friendship group within the club. It consists of 4 guys, Nick Hind, Jaden Laverty, Jake Stringer, and Zach Merritt. These guys are all super close. They're all extremely close friends. But now Zach Merritt is here on his own, having seen Nick Hind be delisted, and now he sees his other 2 mates at the club rather brutally told their position at the team is not safe enough to be given contract extensions. Apparently Merritt voiced his concerns to Scott. Again, this isn't fact, this is Sam McClure saying this, and he's been wrong in the past. None of what I'm saying you should be taking as gospel, but if there is any truth to that, Zach Merritt talking to Scott, that is pretty big. The captain of the club going to the coach to voice his concerns. It makes you wonder, is this new era of list management going to have short-term side effects before it has a long-term impact? Because I have no doubt that this is the best way to manage a team. Other AFLs, or successful AFL sides, they do not make players feel safer than they should be. We've done that for years. There is no pressure to perform because guys know they can get contracts anyway. In the long run, this will improve the culture of the club the way we're doing it now, but right now, are we going to see some players unhappy with the change? Any workplace that changes and makes your position feel different is always going to face a little bit of backlash at first from those working in it, even if it ends up being better for performance in the long run. But when it affects guys like Zach Merritt, whose inner circle is being impacted, that's when you got to wonder how much it dragging out will change things. There is now every chance that Laverty or Stringer or both get traded. That is what is being said by everyone right now. Edmund is saying the same thing, I believe. John Ralph says it. He also says that Ben Hobbs is being looked at. Is there about to be a bit of a clean out at Essendon, or will we see it all resolved peacefully? There's every chance we go into next year with Laverde and Stringer being content with their positions, understanding the direction of the club, and things move smoothly going forward. But there's also now a chance that this contract standoff creates a mini divide internally, or even forces the players to move away. I think that is less likely. These guys are professionals who will soon realise they're not getting any younger and that their best is behind them. But it's all about how soon they realise that. Will it be this year before they sign a deal, or will another club convince them they have longer left? I think it's really interesting that this news is breaking now with so much time before the trade period. I could see it dragging out a while, even if it goes down that road. And imagine what things will look like if this hasn't been resolved come week 1 of the trade period. It will be all over the place. That is why I really do think that we will eventually see this sewn up before, whether that is sewn up as in allowing them to be traded or working it out with the player. Alright, now my own opinion. What would I want to happen here? Well, ideally the club holds as firm as it possibly can. I would love to see these guys on 1-year deals, as in the ones they currently have. Them both falling out of contract again in 2025. That's what I want next season. I know many are unhappy with their output, but I think both need to be on our list next year. Stringer kicked 42 goals, the equals second most of his career. It's 1 goal away from being top 10 in the Coleman. He was also top 20 for tackles inside 50 in the league. I know he tailed off late, but he had a good season overall. And Laverde, he was not even supposed to be starting. He wasn't in our 23 round 1. Reed was ahead of him, but because of injury, Laverde had to play just about every game of the year. He wasn't the starting option in Brad Scott's eyes. I think we need to remember that. He is crucial for depth. Without Laverde, what would we have done this year? Play Sam Wiedemann or a not ready Lewis Hayes? We genuinely need Laverde on our list, not to start, but so we actually have a plan B. And if you argue against that, you're just disregarding depth as a list management concept. Neither of these guys in an ideal world are taking minutes away from other players as well. Laverde was not halting development last year because Lewis Hayes was just not ready to be thrown in that deep, and he was behind Zach Reed before his injury. So, and for Stringer, there's no one of Stringer's position that the package is playing in front of or halting development of. These guys are actually both in a really good position for our list blend next season. I'd ideally like to see them both stay for next year and then reassess at the end of 2025. So I hope we both see them signed up, but ideally we see the club act with real force and let the players know what the standards are. If Laverde and Stringer decide they would rather leave than get a 2-year deal, so be it. No one is bigger than the club, and it's time we really started to mean that. Now, again, for the 50th time, I need to reiterate, nothing I've said in this video is fact. It is mostly from a story from Sam McClure, with little snippets piecing together from Sam Edmund and John Ralph, and even Cal Toomey and Beveridge to an extent. There is a general consensus that Essendon are being very firm with their list build right now, and it could result in some players leaving, but we can't take any of this as genuine fact or news until it happens. It is still very, very early. There may be more developments to come, but we start with this news, which I think is pretty interesting. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm sure we will see some pretty interesting discussions come from this. Cheers for watching, everybody. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and go Bombers.